Good evening and welcome to the FiTT Show. Financial information for today and tomorrow. I'm Bobby P. Kinzer,
And I'm Thomas Doty.
and we are the FiTT Show, helping our people get their finances in shape. Welcome, everybody. This is we've had a hell of a day. I'm broadcasting from Milan, Italy. Yes, it's 2 in the morning here, and Thomas Doty is broadcasting from Pittsburgh. So we welcome everybody around the country and literally around the world, though. So how's everything in your world, Thomas?
Life is crazy, my brother, but it's all good.
Oh, that's a good thing, man. Just want to remind everybody to please click on the like button and the heart button. That gives us way more traction. And we'd like for you to also go down into that comment um, box and put any comments that you may have. That helps us tremendously too. So please do that, and we get even more. So look, and if you have opinions about anything we talked about, please do go out there and check us out and put a comment in there because it helps us reach more people. So thank you. That's our administrative part that we like to get through. We have to remind people we're not financial advisors. We're not certified or licensed or qualified financial advisors, but we are qualified educators, financial educators with the experience between me and Dope. We've seen a lot. So we hope you learned something today. And if you want to catch our previous shows on Facebook, they're only holding them 30 days now. So you can catch our last shows in the last 30 days on Facebook. And they're always out there on YouTube. So please check us out. We'd love for you to stay tuned. And Dope, so
Yes,
you're
sir.
hanging in there, huh?
Hanging in, good brother.
That's that's a good thing. Same here with me, man. We had a lot of little, should I say, obstacles today, but we're here. We broadcasting. Thank God for modern technologies, right?
That's for sure. I'm glad everything's working.
Yeah. Things seem like it's working better than when we're at home. So, so okay, Dope. Let's start. Oh well, I didn't. Well, we may have talked too soon. Let's see. Let's go to the screen and let's talk about the stock market today. Hopefully, it will work today.
Yeah, I'm still
And
seeing you. Oh, here we
it
go.
is. Here we go. Here we go. We in, Dope.
That's cool. The stock market continues to roll along and setting records. And things continue to go up. S&P is up 1% for the week. Year to date, it's up 9%, that's huge when you consider we're only through 7 months. NASDAQ is up 0.8% for the week and also up 9% for the year. Microsoft is only off a buck. Um, Probably some profit taking in that because that thing has been going like crazy. You can see it's up 21% year to date. Apple kind of dropped a little bit. No, I'm sorry, Apple went up 4 points. So it's up 2% for the week, and it's still off 14% for the year. A lot of that's due to tariff and where they've been and where they build in China. Nvidia continues to go up. It's up to 174. It's up 30% year to date. Google just announced some gangbuster earnings. It's up 8 points or 4.3% for the year. Now it's finally
Wow.
turned positive year to date. Pfizer stayed the same, and Palantir continues to go up. It's up a whopping 104% for the year and is up 1 point for the week. And things are still going up, but things are also volatile. As everybody knows, the president visited the Fed today, and supposedly there were some tense conversations between Fed Chairman Powell and the president, and he wants him to lower rates. But I trust what Powell's doing a little bit more than I trust what the president wants. But that's just my humble opinion. And so we'll see what happens. There's been talk of him firing Powell. We're hoping that doesn't happen because if it does, I think the market will react negatively. There's been some positive news on the tariff front with agreements being reached. The big part that's still not answered is the EU. We got to see what's going to happen there. And again, things are going to continue to be volatile, but right now things are all good. Everything is going up like crazy, especially the tech stocks.
And that's interesting, though, because the topic of the show today is FOGI, fear of getting in. And I know some people heard of FOMO, the fear of missing out. And this is the opposite. And it's like its cousin. But we're going to talk about that because with so much uncertainties, like in April when the market, basically kind of crashed and it came back, so fast. And people, don't know to get in, to get out, stay out, get in the cash, get in the equities. We're going to talk about that a little bit, FOGI today, y'all, because that's so important. No, gold is up, man. It's down $1, but it's up to $3,371, and silver was moving slow, right? And I told you I got in at $16 an ounce. Gold is now up to $39, and that's the highest it's been, and it might be a record. Um, Not maybe going back many, many, many years ago, but at least in the last, 10, 15 years, it hasn't been up to $39 an ounce. And believe it or not, though, I don't know. Remember I told you about I got into SMCI, this super microcomputers. Man,
Right.
that thing is starting to take off. It's up to I think I got it. I think I got it at $30, and it split. I only had two shares. It was no. Something was at $40. It's $40. It was two shares, right? I just bought two shares, right? $80 each. It did a stock split, reverse stock split, and no. I'm sorry. It did a stock split, and I ended up with 20 shares, and it's up $52 and 52 cents a share.
And
So
just think if you'd have bought 100 shares.
I know, dude. I know, but my friend, he was out there. He lives off the wilderness, right? And he's a big man in the market. No, it's not inside trading, but it's my go-to guy. He's just, he literally lives off the country. He got tired. He jumped off. Guess what? This guy was, the HTTP. That's
Yeah.
the web to get on the web. Well, he was a part of that back in NASA days. So that tells you. But he always tells me these crazy things, and and he's always been right. But he told me about that CSMI, and he said just buy two shares and see, Bob. And I'm like, God dang, and it's rolling, and that's how it works, y'all. But we're gonna get into that. But let's talk a little bit about the cryptocurrency market, which is crazy, though. Some are doing well, some are not. The total cryptocurrency market is the highest it's ever been. It's almost $4 trillion, right? And it is only up 2 billion. This just 2 billion. It's never been that low. That's not even a whole percent point. Way less than half a percent point, right? Way less. But Bitcoin is down $1,036 a Bitcoin, but the Bitcoin is at $118,624. It's down, less than 1%, but it's still up from, it's still one of its highs at its highest mark. Even though that's down, Ethereum, which is, they call it the smart contract cryptocurrency, it's up 6%. It's up $211. It's only going for $3,727 a share. I mean, excuse me, a cryptocurrency, but it's up $211. Don't know what's going on there though. And Ripple,
Yeah,
which
that is strange.
isn't that something, but it's up. That's a big jump for that particular cryptocurrency.
But
Ripple,
hey,
go
Bob,
ahead.
you know what's crazy though? A lot of people are making a whole bunch of money doing those new Bitcoins that are coming out. And it's back when we first started talking about this. And I mean, you knew somebody who made like 200,000 bucks in like no time. And I
Right.
think some of that's going on now. And just got to be careful of that. That's all risky. That's all it is.
I mean,
All
highly
risky.
speculative. That's the highest on the risk scale. So it's just me. But Ripple moved from fourth place to third place, right? Because Tether used to be in third place, which is a stable coin, which is backed, it's supposed to be backed by the dollar, but it's backed by the dollar in assets, which all the other cryptocurrencies are not. I mean, not backed. I'm sorry, it's pegged to those, right? But Ripple moved in third place, and it's down 9%, but it's at $3.20. Then Binance is up. Binance has been rolling, man. I remember when Binance was just like $100. It's up to $778, and it's up $55. So I don't know what's going on there. And Solano's up. So just let you see the cryptocurrency market, which we track. It lets you know, but say be careful. Only invest money that you're willing to lose, and that sounds crazy, but that's a true statement.
That's for
Uh,
sure.
so dope. Let's get into our show today. So you back off a little bit because he's cutting you off.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Yeah, I
yeah,
mean,
let's get into our show today. Fonji.
yeah, and Rob, it's I had never heard of that till we started discussing this article that we saw. And everybody probably familiar with fear of missing out. That drives a lot of investors' behaviors. People do things just because they don't want to be left out. Sometimes that's good. Most of the time, that's bad if you don't do it with analysis and thought and part of a plan to grow your wealth. But Foji, that's his lesser known cousin. And it can be just as bad. And what that means is that's basically fear of getting in or fear of getting into the market and that, to buy assets. And and just recently, a lot of the institutional investors, they've been subject to this fear because there's just so much volatility in the market and everybody's trying to avoid risk. And a lot of the volatility is due to the unpredictability of the current administration. And but this cautious behavior this summer is kind of going away and everybody's kind of getting back into it because as we talked about earlier, the market's hitting all kind of records. It broke the S&P 500 and it's been going up like crazy. I think it's up 26% from its April low because you had that big market collapse back in April. And since then, the market's up like 26%. So not really sure how the market's reacting, but what we're going to talk about is people afraid to get into the market because of fear. Just
I mean, and that's that's big though. I mean, for instance, man, now uh, the old fear was meant, don't miss the growth, and this could be, caused by FOMO, fear of missing out. Now, the behavior model, which is opposite of Foji. Now, after the phase of yielding and surrendering, after the 2000 April 2025 market downturn, where participants massively exit assets during a panic, comes the stage of cautious optimism and recovery. Now, at this moment, that fear of missing out, it manifests most acutely. But when prices rise rapidly, the fear of missing the growth outweighs rational argument. Now, the fact is, analysts emphasize that historically, investments in the United States stocks have always been rewarding, and the factors that made America a successful business environment remain unchanged. But the thing is, with uncertainty, the market going up, going down, people just don't know what to do. So sometimes they end up with paralysis from analysis. So let's get into our topic today, though.
yeah, and if you think about it, this has been really relevant lately, and a lot of people are experiencing 4G right now. A lot of folks, and if you go back in 2022, the U.S. market was having a downturn, and a lot of people were getting out of the market and going to cash. Everybody was thinking, "Oh, let's be safe." A lot of people, the first sign of volatility or trouble, they immediately switched their money to cash. And right after COVID, everybody was a little bit skeptical about everything. So I remember the market kind of went down pretty much a bunch during COVID. And so what happened, a lot of people transferred all their money to cash or never did get into the market. But then if you look what happened in 2023, the market was up 24%. In 2024, the market was up 23%. So if you stayed in cash doing those two big increases, you probably weren't getting any more than 3-4% in those cash accounts. And you look at the opportunity cost of what you lost like 20% each year. Now, again, the market's not going to go up every year, but we always talk about over the long haul, the market average is about 11%. And so now you're getting people are saying, well, the market's going up like crazy, so it's overvalued. And I'm going to wait till it drops before it gets in. And that never works. There's no perfect time to get in the market. And we've always talked about how after there's been a big market correction, how the Dow Jones always, not the Dow, the stock market always rebounds very strongly after any kind of big market corrections. So, and you don't know when that's going to happen, so you don't know when to buy. So we've always preached contributing consistently, constantly, through good times, bad times. Stop waiting for the right time to get in and don't sit on the sideline.
So, so what went wrong? Okay. Now, while a lot of people back in 22, the rationale sounded logical, decision was emotionally driven and flawed for two key reasons, right? One of them was because if there were younger people under the retirement age, say if they were like 48, 40, they had so much time, so there was no immediate need for the funds, right? So they weren't withdrawing, from the retirement account for daily expenses. So, they had, over a decade or more, before touching it. So the short term fluctuations weren't a direct risk to them. The second thing was trying to time the market. No one has a crystal ball, not even the best fund managers. You know, people who shifted, retreated to be conservative and shift to cash. It was a form of market timing. And like most such moves, it didn't work out because the market came back, as Dote said, tremendously, and people moved out and was in cash and missed that opportunity of getting a major growth. Now, people's wealth loss was only notional, right? But the emotional response was very well. And as is often the case, emotions overpower logic, especially in the time of personal transition. Right now, this isn't just about one particular person, but over there are a lot of people is suffering from the fear of getting in, and it's been so common, and especially for professionals, people who are in their 40s and 50s, right, who have accumulated meaningful wealth, and you know what I'm talking about out there, who you are, and now fear making the wrong moves.
Yeah, if you look at some of the big drops that happened between January 1991 and January 2025, and you look at some of the market declines that happened and how long it took for the market to recover. If you got a 5 to 10% decline, the market's recovered in like 41 days. If you get a 10 to 20% drop, the recovery took on average 151 days, about 5 months. If you have a 20% drop, the market takes about 2.3 years to recover. And
Wow.
so what matters is whether your money is positioned to grow over time, not whether you can predict. And that's what you guys got to understand when it comes to investing. We always talk about the long play. And we talk about the co- you know, not compounding. What's the word I'm trying to think about? Investing. I'm having a senior moment.
Dollar cost averaging or
Dollar
long term.
cost averaging. That's what, yeah, buying more when it's down, buying less when it's up. In the long term, you're going to be better off. So if you can ride out the short term, not panic, not sell when things go a little bit bad, always in history, the market has recovered very strongly and you more than make up for the shortfall that happened during any market downturn.
So, what should people, or let's say you, do now, right? Now, if you're sitting on the sidelines with cash and feeling frozen by the fear of getting in, here's a simple path forward. Acknowledge the mistake without judgment. that you didn't get in because you were just scared. Shift the focus to long term. Establish your goals. Me and Doc always talk about creating goals because that determines, what particular funds you should be in, what particular risks you should be taking, which your time horizon is so important. And then get back in gradually, over the next 6 to 12 months, just get back. Now, the goal isn't to, to time it right. Because, like we said, nobody in time the stock market, not even the best fund managers. And the goal is to get back in intentionally and patiently. Inaction feels safe in the case, but over time, it can quietly become the biggest risk of all. Doing nothing is a risk, you all. So don't be misguided because of that. Now, Foji is real, but it doesn't need to be defined in your financial future. Start small, stay steady. Me and Dodo always talked about being consistent. And most importantly, stay invested. Now, here's the problem the stock market is a complex, adaptive system. If the largest global institutions with armies of analysts can't consistently beat the market, what chance do you, as an individual investor or advisors, have of predicting its short term direction? The answer is none. But thankfully, we don't. So thankfully, we don't need to predict the market because long-term wealth isn't built just through constant action, just taking actions, one action. No, 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 no. It's built through constant clarity and discipline. Like Dope said, dollar cost averaging. Doing a little background, doing a little research. So stay on track and focus on like at least four things that actually matter in your wealth creation journey.
Yeah, and we've talked about this before of not knowing, and that used to be an excuse for us because a lot of us didn't know about investing. Our parents didn't teach us about investing. You don't learn about it in school, and most of what most people pick up is word of mouth, and usually those sources are not very reliable. And we always talk about only take advice from people who have money, not from people who are broke, because usually their advice isn't very good. And so there's a lot of reasons not to be investing. There's a lot of reasons not to take some risk, but there are more reasons to do that. And that's what, and again, everybody's risk level is different. We always tell you, Bob is much more conservative than I am when it comes to investing. And that's why he bought two shares of stock. And I got 1,000 shares of NVIDIA and he got two shares.
I got 20. I got
He
20.
got
That's not true. I got 20.
you got to take a little bit of risk if you want to make some money. So to kind of to summarize, if you have a way of looking at investments, there's four things you got to think about. Okay, and we talk about this over and over again. You got to have goals. You got to have your why, the reason you're doing this financially. You got to have a goal. You got to have a purpose. I think Bob always uses the example of taking a trip without a map. Okay, if you want to build wealth, you need a map to build a wealth. To build wealth, you need to have goals, and they should guide your decisions. If you set up goals, that can do things like stop you from doing impulsive buying, stop you from spending excess money on things that don't really add value to you. If you have goals. Okay, then you got to have a process. And that's the bridge between goals and products. A clear, repeatable investing process anchored in your goals and risk appetite. That's the best way to build wealth. Okay, you got those things within that of asset allocation, rebalancing, and uh, automation, which we've talked about in previous shows. You think about asset allocation, that's where you put your funds. Do you invest in stocks? Do you invest in bonds? Do you put some in cash? Do you invest in real estate? Do you put some money in an overseas investment vehicle? Those are all things about where you allocate your assets. When you talk about rebalancing, if you set up a goal that you saying your risk level leads you to have 60% invested in stock 40% invested in safer assets. Well, if your stocks have a big run up, they could end up being 70%. So you need to do some rebalancing to keep things back in the at the risk level that you want. And the third thing within that is automation. And that's setting up where you have constant savings every month. You're buying good times, bad times, you're creating wealth. That's the best way to do it. The third thing is time. That's the silent multiplier. You know, if you're young, you have plenty of time. Now you lose a little bit as you get older. You lose the effect of compounding, but compounding is a beautiful thing. You know, we've always talked about the rule of 72s. You take the number 72, divide it by the interest rate. That's how long it takes your money to double. So if the S&P averages 11%, let's just say 12% to make the math easy, you divide 72 by 12, that means your money doubles every 6 years. Okay? So once you get your first 100,000, in 6 years you got 200. 6 more years, you got 400. 6 more years, you got 800. So it compounding is a beautiful thing. You won't get there by trying to time the market and figure out when to get in, when to get out. You do it by consistently investing over time. Time is your best friend. And finally, it's your behavior. It's you not messing it up. And that's typically what happens. And it's reacting to things in the market and not staying steady to your goals. By when things go bad, you sell. And that's the worst time to sell, when things are going down, because you're usually going to sell at a loss. And the other end of that is greed. And that's when the market's in a bull run and you go out and buy when things are high, prices are high, and that's not good either. Versus buying consistently through good times and bad times, dollar cost averaging, and having um, a year's worth of investments at costs that are beneficial to you, because you bought less shares when it was more expensive, you bought more shares when it was cheaper. That those are the keys to building wealth. And it sounds easy, and we're kind of trying to summarize it. And there's a lot more involved in it, because you do have market volatility, you do have tax implications, you do have fees, but those are the four basic principles for building wealth.
And Dope, we got a lot of people that are coming on late, and I don't know if it's because the way I scheduled this, because I am in Milan. I always want to say
Milan,
Milan. See, I say, well, I get which one. It's Milan, right?
I
Yeah.
think that's how they say it.
Well, I say Milan, then people say, you mean Milan? But I see people getting on. So for you to just getting on, a lot of people are just getting on. And we just want to just tell you, we're talking about FOJI, the fear of getting in. Me and Dodo always talk about, being in the market. And if you just followed us the last 4 years, you would have at least increased your portfolio. Average between Dodo, I swear, if I look at the market, the way it's been going up, up until, April of 2025, well, up to this year, it's been a 25% return. It was like 24, 23 return each year that we've been doing this. And so,
Yeah. And Bob, and that's what we keep trying to remind folks. We aren't any smarter than anybody else. You know, we both have a little bit of technical knowledge and a little bit of education in the field, but the things we talk about as far as investing aren't related to our education. It's just being diligent in saving and having a process, having a way to pick what your risk level is, and determining where your money should be, and then sticking to your plan. And it if you look at my results, it seems like I'm doing fantastic, which I am, but it ain't. It's not because I'm any smarter than anybody else. Anybody who's heavily invested in the market in the last 3 4 years has made a lot of money. Not just me. Anybody who's invested in the market has made a lot of money because the market has been going up like crazy. Now, it may not. It's not. I can almost bet it's not going to continue to go up 25%. There's going to be corrections. Who knows what these tariffs may bring? But again, if it drops 10%, so that means I'm only up 15% because I'm up 25 already. I mean, those are the kind of things you have to look at. Everybody, all the people who always poo-poo when the market goes down, they're missing the fact of how far you are already ahead. And that's what you got to think about.
And so, though, I sent you some statistics the other day about our show, and over half of our audience is 55 years old and older. So I know some people think, and I've heard this a lot, though. Oh man, it's too late. I messed up. I didn't make it. I didn't make the right decision when I should have. Oh, I'm done. I'm like, no. I don't care if you're 55 or 65. We're living longer, right? And like, I know some of y'all are like, hey, I'm trying to live on my money. Nobody's saying don't live on your money, but if you have some other goals, or if you have some, grandkids, because I know a lot of people not even in 529, and that's one of the greatest plans for parents and grandparents. But I just want to make this point to everyone: it is not over. Just because you missed, making some of those decisions and taking advantage of increasing your wealth. If you're 55, if you're 65, I'm telling you, people are living until their 80s now. And that's like, for some people, 20, some people, that's 30 years. So you can have your money working for you. And why? It's just sitting there. Why not have your money working for you? Because I know some people are risk adverse, and we're not talking about no major risk. It's about making the most out of what you have. And there's nothing wrong with that. And you can help so many more people, not just yourself. And I'm sure I know a lot of people on here that are philanthropists. So it's not just about helping yourself, but I do know some people on here that definitely need to increase their wealth too. I'm not saying that either. Let's get that straight. But the thing is, though, one of the four things is one of the things you got to take action, you all, and that's the difference, and not just any action, right? Because who's more foolish, the fool or the person that follows a fool? A lot of people have been following, and that's not one of my quotes for the day, by the
That
way.
ain't go for the day.
No,
Okay.
that's not a quote for the day. But a lot of people are following the wrong people, been listening to the wrong people, and oh man, I'm not getting into no market. I'm listening to people getting on me about having an electric car, right? I can't believe I said, oh, have you ever gotten in one? No. Have you ever, studied about one? No. So how can you tell me that, just because, and I understand how people feel, politically, not just politically about Elon Musk. I feel the same way. But if you haven't looked into it, if you haven't gotten the knowledge, and that's the other takeaway I always want to make sure people have, though, you don't have to be no big PhD. You don't have to be no big analyst, but just do. There's so much information that you can get some of the basic understandings, because that's what Doe do. It's not like Doe use no fundamental analysis or no technical analysis where he uses charts, but he does go out there, the baseline about what's the future outlook for those stocks. That's always important. That's anyway. You go on Yahoo Finance and find out the future outlook, and then it'll show you what happened
Yeah,
in the past.
yeah, and you get the market research from the different market analysts who are following that particular stock. You can see what the consensus say. You can see if it has a buy rating, if it has a hold or sell, and that's basically what I do. I look for stocks that a lot of analysts feel are going to go. That's how I end up picking Nvidia. That's how I picked up Microsoft years ago at 240. I think I got it less than 240, and now it's over 500. Nvidia, I got at 17. It's at 170. Palantir is doubled. I got in at 70. It's at 150 something. Apple, even though it's down year to date, it's still up, way up for me. I've made money on Google. And again, it's not being brilliant, but just looking at the data that's out there. And we always talk about, like we talk about Bitcoin. And I talked about how I put 4,000. That was definitely fear of missing out. That's why I bought Bitcoin. That was part of the
Me
reason.
too.
That-
Me too.
but the other reason is because it makes sense to me to have a currency that doesn't require a third party's involvement. That just makes so much sense to me that I should be able to buy, if I want to buy something from Bob, I shouldn't have to use a credit card. I shouldn't have to use Cash App. I shouldn't have to use Venmo. I should be able to use a currency that I have in my possession that I can transfer to Bob without any interference or added fees by somebody just for me and him to do a transaction. So that was the reason why. And we talked about uh, being reasonable as to how much you invest. I put $4,000 in the Bitcoin, which is a lot of money, and now it's worth 26,500. And again, it ain't because I'm brilliant, but it was because I said, okay, let's take some money. This is something you feel makes sense, and that's one of the other fundamentals of investing. Stuff that just makes sense. I, one I missed was Hoka. Everybody wears Hoka shoes.
I got them on now.
Yeah, my daughter told me about that stock, I had to say 4 or 5 years ago, not the stock, about the shoes. She told me, hey, Dad, you need to get you some Hokas. There's some great shoes. And I got some and they were great. And I talked to her husband, and me and him talked, and we said, we need to buy some Decker stock. That's the company that makes Hokas and boots. And we said, yeah, we're going to buy. And we both left our conversation intending to buy Deckers, the company that sells Hokas. Neither one of us did. And I think the stock went up by a factor of four. I think it was like 200 something when we looked. And I think it ended up being over 800. But that's, again, one of the fundamental ways to pick stocks is to look at what makes sense that has market growth. I think Bob always used the example of a company like Procter and Gamble, which makes things that people use every day. No matter how bad things get, people going to use dishwashing liquid, they're going to use toilet paper, they're going to use paper towels. Those kind of things really aren't affected by the economy. Now, that being said, they're not going to grow 20, 25, 30%, but they're going to have steady growth. They might only grow 7, 8%. But included at that, you'll probably get a dividend that's worth a couple of percent. And you're going to end up around that 8 to 10% growth, which is much better than you're going to get with your money sitting in a bank. You know, if you've got money sitting in the bank, you're losing money because inflation is going to eat up any gain that you get.
And I just got two other points I want to make, though. I know people have anxieties about the stock market. That's just the fact with our people. History shows, right? It's no question. Understand some of you who have those anxieties. But the second issue I want to make is that, uh, you know, money is not everything, but it sure beats not having any. And you can do so many more things with money. And if you have money just sitting around in a checking account, sitting around in a shoebox, why not get the most out of your money? And then you can make you out determine what you want to do. If you want to go take a trip or buy a new car or put a new roof, or help your child or help a grandchild, or just help somebody else. Why not do it? Because your money's sitting there, and I just because I know me and Dope talk about being in the market and how much it's increased our bottom line, but it's not just about that, you all. I mean, Dope. The Bible talks about love approximately 500 times in the Bible. It talks about faith over 600 times. It talks about money over 1,000 times. What is that telling you? No, it's not saying it's all about money. It's just saying how important money is, you all. And we're just trying to give you a basis on how you can help your money grow, consistently, non-stressfully, you know, medium risk, and then you're able to do a lot more things in your life. I just
Hey,
wanted to make that plea, though. That's all.
money gives you options. That's the thing. Money gives you options. And you always say money's not the root of all evil,
It's
but
the love
the
of money.
love of money. And you you got options when you have money. And even if you just look at your budget and go through your budget, which most people don't take the time to budget, which is one of the things that we think is crazy. If you don't have a budget, not that I think you're crazy, I just think you could be doing a lot better with your money if you have a budget, if you were perusing what you spend, because you could find some things that maybe you aren't getting value from and take that money and invest it, even if you just put it in an S&P index fund. And instead of on something that you really don't get value from, that really doesn't bring you joy and happiness, then stop spending that money and put it over here toward the investment. If you got a little extra money, buy a little Bitcoin or buy a cryptocurrency, things of that sort. But if you're happy with where you are, then keep doing what you're doing. But if you're not, get a plan to build wealth. And again, it gives you all kind of options.
Take action. We can't say it enough. So with that note, I'd like to thank everybody for being on. My sister Linda, sister Gloria, Joanne Skinner, Modestine Johnson.
I
God
got
bless.
I got to tell you, Bob, you look awfully fresh for this time of night.
Yeah, it's oh yeah. What time is it now?
It's like 2 in the morning, isn't it?
It's 2:44. It's almost 3 o'clock. God dang.
Yeah. You look marvelous, as you would say.
You look marvelous. Not how you feel, it's how you look. And though it's only because the jet lag hadn't set in yet. But as soon as it set in, and I'm switched on their time because I'm still. Yeah, well, you're right. I am on work. Oh, no, I'm still. Oh, no, it's 3 o'clock in the morning. Still. So, but that's only 9 o'clock. Okay.
Yeah, you 6 hours ahead.
6 hours here. Yeah, I thought we were just 6 hours here. So anyway, stay tuned next week. I'll probably be
Where are you going to
broadcast.
be? Where will you be
I
next week?
think next week I'm gonna be in Florence.
Okay.
I'll be broadcasting from Florence, Italy. I've been learning some French.
French. You in Italy?
Maybe no, maybe that's why they wasn't talking back to me. Damn, don't. I just thought about that. No wonder I thought I just wasn't talking good at the time. No, man, stop that. I'm going to say, somebody said a river dirty to me. I'm like, yeah, a river is dirty. What the hell are you talking about? But no, my quote for today is very appropriate. It's by Maya Angelou. She said, I don't have a problem if you aim high and miss. I have a problem if you aim low and hit.
That's a good one.
Because
That's a good one.
especially if you are out there aiming, then why not aim high? So with that, you all, thank you for tuning in. Everybody take care. God bless you all. And I'll be talking to you next week. Where will you be next week, though?
I'll be back home. I'll be in New York Saturday for my daughter's birthday. I'll be in Jersey tomorrow. Then I'm going to New York for my daughter's birthday. Then back in Charlotte next Thursday.
Okay. Oh, speaking about daughter's birthday. Hey, now glad to see you on. Just missed that. Didn't see your name there. Just pulled it down. Don't know where my sister Nolia is, but Gloria, my sister Gloria. Did I say that? I didn't even mention Gloria and Linda. Sorry, just got to make sure I mention y'all. Y'all my biggest support. Love you all, and we look forward to you staying tuned next week to another interesting topic on personal money management, the FiTT Show. Financial information for today and tomorrow. See you next week.